There's lots of ways to die in the wilderness of Alaska. Getting mauled by a bear, trampled by a moose, freezing to death, falling into a glacier crevice, avalanches, landslides, volcanoes, tsunamis. But there's one way that I had no idea about and just happened to learn on accident just a month before our road trip to Alaska. This is the silent killer of Alaska that's just as horrible. We're here on the Cook Inlet. This is Captain Cook State Recreation Area in Alaska on the Kenai Peninsula. And around this point, you go into the Turnagain Arm down to Anchorage. Right now it's low tide. You can see the water's all the way out there. The rocky beach is right here and it comes down to this line. And between the rocky beach and the water line at low tide is this glacial silt mud. And it does look tempting to go out there to those rocks, explore over there a little bit, see what's out there, but this can be deadly. On September 17, 1961, a group of soldier buddies were walking along the Palmer Slough Flats south of Wasilla. One of them, Roger Kashin, got too close to the water and began to sink. The friends thought it was hilarious and mocked him for getting stuck in the mud, as friends do, but this situation was different. This glacial silt mud acts like quicksand. It can suck you in. Watch my foot here. It's just pure, smooth, silky mud. And under my foot here, close to shore, I can still feel the rocks. But out there, where you can have a couple feet of mud, maybe waist high, get sucked into that. Combined with the high tides here, especially here in Cook Inlet. This is one of the fastest moving tides in North America. You can actually watch the tide coming in here. The perfect combination. You get stuck out there and you have a board tide that comes in quickly. You don't stand a chance. By the time a local hunter happened upon the scene, Roger was already hip deep in the mud and the rising tide was nearly to him. If the soldiers knew the urgency of the situation from the start, maybe Roger would have stood a chance. The mudflats of Cook Inlet, Knik Arm, and Turnagain Arm of Alaska are glacial silt, which is the result of glaciers rubbing against rock, ending with very fine glacier flour or silt. Microscopically, the silt grains are angular. Water deposits the silt particles in the inlets in a loose pattern. When you step on them, the angular particles resettle more tightly and almost lock together, and you are stuck. Throwing a rope out won't help, digging out won't help. Even a helicopter with a rope might not do the job. The fire department has a mud rescue tool that blasts water at the mud surrounding the body. But they have to do it before the tide comes in. And it being Alaska, the fire department might be an hour away, while the tide could come in 30 minutes. It's starting to sprinkle a little bit, so hopefully it doesn't start pouring. But we're walking down the beach from the state recreation site to the Swanson River. The Swanson River comes out to the ocean out here. So we want to walk all the way out there and check that out. You can see the trees have cleared behind us because the river curves right here and then goes out that way to the ocean. Should be a nice little hike or walk on the beach here if it doesn't start pouring. It's crazy. And you can see that's all the glacial silt right here, how deep it is, how you could easily get sucked into that. In July of 1988, 18-year-old Adena's leg got stuck in the mud of Turnagain Arm 45 miles south of Anchorage. Her husband tried for 3 hours to free her with no luck. He ran to the highway to ask motorists for help, one of which called 911. By the time firefighters got to her, the water had risen to her face. They could not get her out in time. A police officer held her hand for as long as he could until he lost feeling in his arms and hands from the cold water. I'm just curious to see what happens when I throw the rock into the mud. If it'll sink all the way, if it'll just stay on top. Let's see. It went in. It just went in the mud. Do you see that? Mm-hmm. Wow. It's starting to rain, so we need to hurry back now. And most recently, in May of 2023, 20-year-old Zachary Porter from Illinois was walking with friends and got stuck in the Turnagain Arm near Hope, Alaska, just before 6 p.m. And while rescue was called immediately, they were 47 miles away, and the incoming tide submerged him just before 6:45 p.m.
That's crazy. Look at that. That's so crazy.
We're leaving the Captain Cook recreation site here. Look how the tide is all the way almost up to the rocks here at this point. And I don't know if you remember when we first got here, but the tide was all the way out there. You see that rock over there? It was past the rocks. You don't even see most of the rocks anymore. They're all engulfed by the water. And the tide just came up here, I don't know, 30 minutes. It's crazy how fast it comes up here. We made it back just in time because the rain is really starting to come down now. So this is that Swanson River that we walked out to. Goes all the way out there to the ocean and carves through that silt. People fish here. While it's not an automatic death sentence to walk on mudflats, you never know which step would be the one to sink you. It's best to avoid walking on mudflats, and if for some reason you find yourself stuck in mud, rescuers say to call 911 immediately to give yourself the best chance. Deaths are horrible. They are the few over the decades, and most of them could have been prevented if only the people knew what could happen. So I don't want this video to scare you into never visiting Alaska. On the contrary, this was for informational purposes only. And now you know. We just spent the summer in wild and astoundingly beautiful Alaska, and we were just fine. It's just always important to know your surroundings, what you're getting into, all the things that could go wrong, and be adequately prepared.